Can I wear them? Oh, you're good.
You have the best reading glasses.
Oh, yeah, I got you. You did it out there. You still, you're always sworn in. You're always under oath. All right. Come on, Gene.
Oh, I don't know who.
I know.
Just the motion. Just the motion. Well, do you have a summary of the article?
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Sean O'Brien. I'm your town moderator. I'm hosted on stage with Kate Federoff, town council, and our town clerk, Paul Gallagher. At this point in time, I'd like to call the special town meeting to order. Today is October 28th. The time is 7:05. There's a quorum of 104 voters present. The tellers have been identified as Paul Basler, Paul Armstrong, and Jim Soul. They've all been sworn. The warrant having been previously declared and properly noticed with the constable's return to service. As tradition dictates, we waive the reading of the warrant. Is William Cushman available? Thank you. Will's going to lead us, if everyone can rise, in the Pledge of Allegiance. Hold on, Will. Hold on, Will. Whenever you're ready.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Will.
Very good, Will.
At this time, I'd also like to take a moment of silence for all those who have passed, for all those residents who continue to find strength, resilience, and courage to endure in these political, economic, and socially challenging times, not only facing our town, but our state and our country. At this point in time, I'd ask you to take a moment of silence. Thank you. The rules for town meetings run per town meeting times and our local bylaws. If you wish to address town meeting, step up to one of the microphones, which are in each of the aisles halfway down. Wait to be recognized, and please state your name and address. Please keep comments to 1 to 2 minutes, and you may approach the microphone a second time, but only with new information, and please keep these comments to under 1 minute. I will explain procedure as needed and will recognize requests for points of order. Motions to amend may be made, but must be reduced to writing prior to being debated. Questions of privilege raises issues affecting rights and privileges at town meeting. If your safety, dignity, or integrity, if the volume, temperature, noise interfere with your ability to hear, speak, or participate in town meeting, please yell out, question of privilege. Please remain seated unless you are trying to speak at the microphone, especially the back. I believe there's 2 police officers here. Thank you for being here, but those doors have to remain clear at all times. So anyone standing in those doorways, please don't stand there. Thank you. Please do not stand in door. I just repeated myself. Okay, good. I hope to continue to have a spirited debate and that the meeting both supports and challenges the issues that are presented. You may make a motion to call a question, but you may not debate and then make a motion. Please be respectful to everyone, and remember it's okay to have a different opinion. Does everyone understand the rules of town meeting? Does anyone have any questions? Okay, there's exits in the back. There's also exits on the sides. Take a moment, see your exits. Bathrooms are in the back. A couple announcements before the open and motion. Keith Hickey, our town administrator, who was always candid and very helpful to myself as the moderator, is no longer with the town. George Samea, he's present. Could you stand up just so everyone can see you? This is George. Welcome. And at this point in time, Eric, do you have something you want to present?
Good evening. Is Paul Armstrong here? I'm going to ask him to come on down.
He's hiding. This is the Teller Award you've been waiting for.
My name is Eric Krohn. I'm the chairman of the Board of Selectmen, 43 Longwood Circle. So tonight we've got a little thank you for Paul Armstrong. I want to take a moment to celebrate someone whose dedication and service have truly shaped the town of Kingston. Paul Armstrong has worn more hats than most of us can count and has worn each one with pride, professionalism, and heart. Yeah, I know. Happens to the best of us. From his early days as a field driver back in 1983 to serving as building inspector for nearly 3 decades, local inspector, plumbing and gas inspector, assistant inspector, and even deputy for the Emergency Management Agency. He's been a steady hand guiding our town through growth, change, and challenge. But his impact didn't stop there. Over the years, he's lent his time and talent to countless committees, from the planning board to the permanent building committee, from helping shape our town hall and senior center, to honoring our veterans through the Memorial Day Parade Committee. Each role has reflected his deep commitment to making Kingston a better place to live and work. Few people have served this town so broadly or for so long, and through it all, he's done so with integrity, humility, and an unwavering love for this community. On behalf of the town of Kingston, we thank you for over 4 decades of dedicated service. Your legacy is built into the very foundation of this town, in our buildings, in our neighborhoods, and in our hearts. We wish you nothing but health, happiness, and well-earned relaxation in your retirement. Congratulations, and thank you for everything you've done for Kingston. And we have a plaque, and I'm going to try to read this. It's in cursive. So this says, in grateful recognition, the town of Kingston, Massachusetts honors Paul Armstrong. On behalf of the residents of Kingston, the Board of Selectmen would like to recognize and thank Paul Armstrong for his over 40 years as an employee of the town of Kingston. Paul began as an inspector in 1984. Paul has been always willing to volunteer, and again, this is cursive, I'm sorry, to volunteer his time by serving on countless boards and committees throughout the years. Enjoy a long, happy, and healthy retirement at the Kingston Board of Selectmen. Thank you, Paul.
I'll give you an opportunity to give you a thankful speech at the end of the meeting. Are we ready with the opening motion? Maybe?
Move that the following non-residents and non-registered voters be allowed to enter and address the town meeting. Kate Federoff, Town Council. George Samia, Acting Town Administrator. Kathleen Barrett, Finance Director and Town Accountant. David Walsh, Wastewater Department Superintendent. Jean Dunn, Assistant to the Wastewater Superintendent. Matthew Piniella, Conservation Agent. Sarah Hickey, Director of Business Services, Silver Lake Regional School District. Carrie Whipple, Kingston Elementary School Principal. Michael Scovera, Detective Lieutenant. Laura Casey Pupek, Police Chief's Assistant. Maureen Clark, Principal Assessor. Robert Quilco, Facilities. And Donald Colon, Library Director.
Second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously.
Eric. Can I have that?
Article 1. You can come down here. Center of attention. Unless you're more comfortable. Uh-oh. You can lower it. Yep, just your name and your address.
Okay. Megan Cannon, 61 Bogview Road, and I am the chair of the Kingston School Committee. We motion that the town of Kingston appropriate the amount of $1,591,856 for the purpose of paying costs of the Kingston School Committee for the partial roof replacement at the Kingston Elementary School located at 150 Main Street, including the payment of all costs incidental or related thereto, the project, which proposed repair project would materially extend the useful life of the school and preserve an asset that otherwise is capable of supporting the required educational program, and for which the town has applied for a grant from the Massachusetts School Building Authority, the MSBA, and said amount to be expended under the direction of Kingston School Committee. To meet this appropriation, the Select Board is authorized to borrow said amount under Mass General Law, Chapter 44, or pursuant to any other enabling authority. The town acknowledges that the MSBA's grant program is a non-entitlement discretionary program based on need as determined by the MSBA, and if the MSBA's Board of Directors votes to invite the town to collaborate with the MSBA on this proposed repair project, any project costs the town incurs in excess of any grant that may be approved by and received from the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the town, provided that any appropriation hereunder shall be subject to and contingent upon an affirmative vote of the town to exempt the amounts required for the payment of interest and principal on said borrowing from the limitations on taxes imposed by Mass General Law 59, Section 21C, Proposition 2.5, and that if invited to collaborate with the MSBA on the proposed repair project, the amount of borrowing authorized pursuant to this vote shall be reduced by any grant amount set forth in the project funding agreement that may be executed between the town and the MSBA.
Can I get the name of the second? Gene Coleman.
All right, we'll hear you.
Yes.
Could we make a friendly amendment to that?
Sure.
Because the motion should read said amount to be expended under the direction of the Kingston School Committee to meet this appropriation, the treasurer,
Oh.
with the approval of the Board of Selectmen.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes, I apologize.
That's as it's written, correct? Yes,
It's
as
printed in the
written.
warrant.
Yep,
It's different than the warrant, but it's printed as the motion in the handout.
yep, okay.
What are we trying to do here?
We are trying to replace part of the roof of the Kingston Elementary School that is very deteriorated. It is leaking and beyond its life expectancy.
Would anyone like to be heard? Open for debate? Questions? Yes, Jim.
Jim Sewell, 51 Indian Pond. The amount being borrowed is for the full amount of the project, regardless of whether we get the grant or not, correct?
Yes.
So we're basically asking for a Proposition 2.5 override to the tune of $1.5 million.
You want to come up?
You want me to answer it? So it's, you appropriate the entire amount, or authorize the borrowing for the entire amount in anticipation of receiving the grant. And it's my expectation that the board wouldn't approve the borrowing and the submission of the bond documents absent the grant. But this is the step, the preliminary step in order to obtain that grant. And I want to be really clear, this is not an override which stays on the books the entire time. Once that debt is paid, it comes off the books. So it's not really an override, it's a debt exclusion.
But there is no language in this article regarding the fact that if the grant is not given, that we could still go ahead with the spending.
There is no limitation in the article as written, but the board, from my understanding, would not authorize and submit the paperwork for the bond.
Would someone like the Board of Selectmen like to address?
That is true. The board would not, this is all depending on the MSBA grant. It's just the step that we have to take to get the grant. If they don't approve the grant, and there's things in there that MSBA puts into any building of schools to satisfy state requirements that if we were to do this on our own, we wouldn't have in the project, but we wouldn't be getting the 53% funding. So a lot of towns in this, not a lot, but there are some towns in the state that just forego MSBA when they're building a new high school, you know, because they put in so many things that you have to have that aren't really 100% necessary, but their grant amount that they give you more than covers what needs to be done. So I guess what I'm trying to say is if the grant didn't come through, we would start over.
Great. All right, thank you, Eric.
Yeah.
Yes, please identify yourself.
Marcia Meekins, Finance Committee. Could you tell us what percentage of the roof will be replaced with this $1.5 million?
Can anybody answer that question?
Sarah. I'm going to invite Sarah Hickey, our business director, up.
It's Sarah Hickey?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Sarah Hickey, Director of Finance and Operations for the Silver Lake Regional School District in Union 31. The amount of the roof that is being replaced is 11% of the roof.
Just to be clear, 11% for 1.5 million approximately.
Correct.
And the remaining 89% of the roof, how close to that is it to its end of useful life, so to speak?
So the original application to the Mass School Building Authority was for the entire roof, and the MSBA rejected the other 89% of the roof because it wasn't 25 years or older at the time of application. And so the accelerated repair program had switched from 20-year-old requirement to 25-year-old requirement. And at the time of application, only 11% of the roof was eligible. Now the remaining 89% of the roof is eligible, but would need an additional application.
Would,
What, do we know what the status is of that 11%?
again, could
roof?
you just break down, I understand that, so the entire 100% of the roof is currently eligible under the standards set by the funding mechanism, the state, is that correct?
Currently, yes.
And where is it? At what stage is it? Is it at 30 years, 35
It
years?
was 20. then
25 years.
It was 20. Now it's 25.
It was 20, so the entire roof is now at least 25 years or older.
Correct.
Thank you.
And at the time of application, 89% of the roof was 24 years old.
And the time of application was 2025?
It was the spring of 2023.
20.
I'm sorry, spring of 2024.
And when was it approved?
In the spring of 2025.
Thank you.
Yes,
Hi, Sheila Vaughn, 7 Frank Street, Kingston, Mass. I am on the school committee. I've been on the school committee on and off for about 11 or 12 years. We've known this has been coming down the pike for about 11 or 12 years now. It is about a $4 million project. I guess many years ago when it was like that, it has been coming up for years and years and years, and here we are. It was 20 years from the MSBA. They told us to go away. We've applied, I believe, 7 times or so now for this grant. We would never go about this without the grant money. I know we've talked about this, that $4 million is a ton of money to pay. This is obviously a huge situation. Anybody is welcome to see the pictures of the roof that we do have and the amount of times that we've had to repair this and what it looks like for our kids. It is not something that we can let go. It is literally falling apart at the seams. We have patched it and patched it and patched it and patched it and patched it a million times over. It cannot be patched any longer. And it has been going on for, I'm telling you, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. And so we have applied for this grant numerous times over. We finally have gotten it. Unfortunately, they keep changing the rules of how many years the roof needs to have. So now it's 25, and that's why we didn't get it the first few years as well. So I just want people to know, This is not new to the town that we need this roof. I have been in this town for 20 years, and I've known for at least 11 that we need a roof.
Thank you. Yes.
David Fuller, 233 Country Club Way. Question, in the last 24 hours, the estimate was increased by over $200,000, maybe closer to $300,000 on this project. Can you explain to me what changed or what that increase was for?
I'm not aware of an increase in the last 24 hours.
Kim?
So it may seem like 24 hours. Kim Emberg, Board of Selectmen, 214 Indian Pond Road. We were notified by MSBA that that number had to include solar readiness, which is an additional $300,000 cost. So we, the board and the finance committee, had already voted the 1.2 million,
Right.
but it was too late we'd already posted the warrant. So the warrant said 1.2 million. We couldn't change the warrant. So here we are with a 1.5. We voted live on the floor because we didn't have a chance to do that because the warrant had been posted. Does that help? That's the 300,000 he's talking about.
Don't go far, please. Follow up. So that just makes it, 300K just makes it solar ready. That doesn't give us solar, right?
Correct.
What is the cost of solar?
That is not part of the project.
But I'm paying for it to be solar ready, so it is part of the project. It's an extra cost to the roof. I'm making it solar ready with an anticipation of putting solar on it, otherwise I wouldn't make it solar ready and I wouldn't incur that $300,000 cost.
In order for the project to be covered by the MSBA, it has to be made solar ready. So it's not making it solar ready in anticipation of putting solar on the roof. It's making it solar ready in order to check the boxes to get the 53% reimbursement from the grant.
I think this also speaks back to what Eric was saying, is some communities choose to fund their schools without going through the MSBA because they don't want to be required to do things like solar readiness when they don't actually necessarily want to have solar.
I get it, but we're probably going to want to have solar and there's going to be a cost associated and there's a cost without making it solar ready, right? To the roof. So there's other costs here and then there's a whole bunch of things going through my mind, all of which I would have loved to have discussed prior to on the floor tonight.
So I'm a little confused, so I'm just going to say, if my math is right, so the projects with the additional 300,000 is about $1.5 million.
Yeah.
Whatever agency that is will pay about $750,000 towards the project, give or take. So if you don't spend the 3, you don't save the 4.
Correct.
Okay, I got it.
Yeah. So they would, at the 1.2 million, or roughly, I'm going to round it down to 1.2 that it originally was, we're getting 53%, something, and I'm going to round that to 50, and say we got 600,000 from the state, they're adding the 300,000. So we would, had we done this on our own, it would cost us 1.2 million. So doing it with MSBA, it's now costing the 1.5, and then we get 53% of that.
Yeah, I get
so
it.
This is part of
Totally get
living
that.
in Massachusetts.
Another follow-up
deal
question. So what
Yeah.
does the legal print say about the solar array for the solar-ready roof? I mean, are we leasing solar? Are we going to have to lease solar? Is any cut go back to the state? How does it all work?
It is just making sure that the roof would be able to support solar should the town choose to put solar on the roof through any means that the town would want.
But there's no fine print that anything.
The law says that.
So it's just we got to make it solar ready, but it doesn't have any contingencies.
Correct.
All right, fine. Thank you.
Yep. Gene? Will? Somebody? Hi.
Will Cushman, 273 Main Street, Kingston, Mass. I want to ask you guys, how long is it until Kingston Intermediate School, the school that we're sitting in right now, its roof needs to be replaced? And then why will we not wait until the Kingston Elementary Schools? Why don't we just replace Kingston Elementary School entirely? Because this is basically, we can use the 1.5 million that we are putting into the roof project towards the Kingston Elementary School's roof, and no, the project of replacing the entire school which is approximately 60 years old at this time. It's older than the Silver Lake High School at this time. And it is needing for time to replace. And it's older than Kingston Elementary School is way older than this school entirely. This school was built after. And can you guys just explain why we were not just putting money towards replacing and rebuilding the entire school?
The cost of a new school in Massachusetts right now is close to 50 million for a small school like Kingston Elementary School. And so the town wouldn't need to want to build a new school to commit to a $50 million project as opposed to a roof replacement. So the Mass School Building Authority actually runs two different grant programs. One of them is for construction of new buildings, and one of them is what they call the Accelerated Repair Program, which is just roofs and windows. And so we applied under the Accelerated Repair Program for a whole new roof, and then 89% of the roof was rejected. And the goal would be to repair the entire roof.
Okay, and how long until Kingston Intermediate School needs to have the roof replaced as well?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Will. Jeannie?
Jean Coleman, 20 Howlands Lane, also on the Kingston School Committee. I believe Eric and Megan have already touched on this, and Sheila, we've been applying for this MSBA grant for the entire time I've been on the committee, almost 9 years. We have been rejected for the reasons already stated, but just to clarify, just because a portion, 89% of the roof, is not eligible for that 25-year, the roof was all put on at the same time, but it's almost a catch-22 because all of the repairs that we've done on the roof has deemed it ineligible because it's no longer considered the actual age of the roof anymore. So 89% of the roof does not need to be replaced according to MSBA because of the fact that we've already done such substantial patchwork on it that it's no longer in as disarray as this 11% section that is leaking and causing quite a bit of havoc over that wing of the building. So the entire roof, I believe, was replaced altogether over 25 years ago, and now we're at the point where only a portion of the roof is eligible. But if we don't take advantage of the grant, then we can apply next year. There's no guarantee that we'll get approved, and we may have to apply anyway for the rest of the roof because it's going to need to be replaced. But there's just no guarantee that we'll get approved, and that's why it was important that this be added on the fall town meeting to get the funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. No?
I think that, my name is Valerie Massard, 1 Schofield Road. I think that my question was answered. I just wanted to understand whether moving forward now precludes us from asking for money for the other 89%.
It does not.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi, Tyler Bouchard, 217 Parting Ways Road. Hi.
Hiding under that hat.
This must have, I'm sure this was printed, because the warrant had to be printed and there was no votes before then. Specifically, the Board of Selectmen and the Finance, I'd love to hear if there was a vote, what was the vote, if there was a vote on the floor, and if there was any dissents and why. Thank you.
So the Board of Selectmen, we just took another vote at the beginning of the meeting, and it was unanimously in support.
Finance Committee, do you want to vote? I think they're voting. Hold on. Thank you. 4-0 in favor for the Finance Committee, and it was 5-0 for the Board of Selectmen. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. Sir, would you like to address the room?
Yes, my name is Brian Kentner. I'm a visitor. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to ask any questions or not. No?
No, thank you. Sorry.
Okay.
And, sir, if you're a visitor, you should be sitting down in the front.
I was, yes.
All right, sorry.
No, we don't have to. Would anyone else like to be heard before I move this two-thirds? It is a two-thirds majority vote, a two-thirds vote on this. Capital Planning, did you vote, or do you want an opportunity to vote before I bring it to the people? Why did they do this earlier?
Do you guys have a quorum and a meeting posted?
We have a meeting posted, we've already called our meeting to order, we are in recess.
Okay.
And we have a quorum present.
Perfect.
Make a motion? Favorable? Thank you. Would anyone else like to address town meeting before we move this to a vote? It was favorable by the Capital Planning, favorable by the Board of Selectmen, favorable by the Finance Committee. Nobody voted no. Now it's your turn, though. All those in favor of Article 1 as printed in the warrant, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes with minimal opposition. On to Article 2. Thank you, everybody.
Here we go. See an exodus from the schools.
It's all right. Good. Yep, don't slow down. Go.
Article 2, move that the town raise and appropriate
A little closer to the microphone, Don.
Oh. Move that the town raise and appropriate $12,800 to be expended to defray town charges for FY26 and to authorize the town accountant to allocate said sums to the appropriate budgets.
Okay, what are you trying to do?
So the article supplements the town's operating budget for fiscal year 2026. The approved fiscal year 2026 budget approved in May did not include administrative wages for the planning department. The wages were not included based on a reduction in planning department activities due to the water moratorium. With the water moratorium lifted, the planning department returned to a similar workload and is seeking to fund part-time administrative position.
We got a second. We got a second, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Open for debate? Seeing none, move to vote on Article 2, which is a majority vote, favorable by the Board of Selectmen, favorable by the Finance Committee. All those in favor of Article 2 as printed in the warrant, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries, no opposition. Article 3, please. Good evening.
Ken Stevens, 217 Main Street, for the Board of Assessors. Article 3. Move that the town transfer from overlay surplus the sum of $100,000 to be expended to fund the cost of revaluations to be conducted by the assessing department and to authorize the town accountant to allocate said sums to the appropriate budgets.
Tell us something about this.
Okay. Okay, first, the overlay fund. The funding of the overlay account is part of every fiscal year budget. Its purpose is to raise sufficient funds to allow for tax abatements and exemptions. Assessors estimate the amount to be raised because the actual amount will not be known until all taxes assessed for any given year are collected, abated, exempted, or defaulted. Chapter 59, Section 25 of the general laws allows the assessors to transfer surplus funds from the overlay for other appropriation. Last week, the board voted, with 2 members present, voted 2-0 to transfer $100,000 from overlay to overlay surplus. This article then takes that money from overlay surplus and allows it to be transferred or appropriated for the revaluation. The revaluation is pursuant to Chapter 40, Section 56 of the general laws, which requires that, quote, every 5th year the Commissioner of Revenue of the Department of Revenue shall certify as to whether the Board of Assessors is assessing property at full and fair cash value. The amount of the work that must be done to achieve certification necessitates that the board begin work as soon as possible. The board has estimates from our appraisers of just over $100,000 for this work. Due to fiscal year 26 budget constraints, it was determined that funding through surplus overlay was prudent. The assessors vote to declare that amount as surplus makes it available for town meeting to appropriate in this article.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Seeing no movement, we'll move it for a vote. Article 3 as printed in the warrant, which is favorable by the Board of Selectmen 5-0, Finance Committee 3-1. This is a majority vote, and all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries, no opposition. Article 4, please.
Kim Member, 214 Indian Pond Road. Move that the town raise and appropriate $13,000 to be expended to fund the cost of the Veterans Department and to authorize the town accountant to allocate said sums to the appropriate budgets. Essentially, this article asks for funds to cover the cost of a part-time administrative position, which is an important step in forming a new Veterans District to be shared between Kingston and Duxbury. By partnering with Duxbury, we'll be creating a shared Veterans District that allows both communities to provide stronger, more consistent support for our veterans while also saving money. Under this agreement, Duxbury will reimburse Kingston for 50% of the wages and benefits for both the veterans agent and this new part-time administrative position. That partnership saves Kingston approximately $70,000 per year with no impact on property taxes. This is a smart, collaborative move that strengthens services for the men and women who have served our country, and it does so in a fiscally responsible way. So this is an effort to start regionalizing more of services. So as budgets get tighter and tighter in communities across Massachusetts, it's important that we think creatively about how we offer services to our residents and our communities. And working together with Duxbury is a step in that direction. And I volunteered to present this article also because I support it, but also because let's save money. And in doing so, we support our veterans agent as well as the veterans in our community, not just Kingston, but Duxbury too. I mean, we're neighbors, so. I think they seconded it.
Any questions?
Yeah, it was second. It was.
Yes, sir.
Robert Ketter, 17 Pembroke Street. My question is, will the office be open 4 days a week for our veterans if we go with a split shift like that?
I don't remember the exact hours that our veterans agent talked about, but veterans will be able to go to either Kingston or Duxbury. We'll figure out the details as to where they'll be in which location, but wherever the hours, I don't know, Sarah, if you want to speak to this more directly, because I don't recall exactly what you thought might work for both communities, and I know the Duxbury Select Board talked about this as well.
Good evening, everybody. Sarah Lansing, 61 Hollands Lane. I'm the veterans agent. So it will be 2 days a week in Kingston, 2 days a week in Duxbury, Monday, Wednesday in the Kingston office, Tuesday, Thursday in the Duxbury office. And Kingston residents can go back and forth on the Duxbury days to the Duxbury office or to the Kingston office, whatever is most convenient.
Remind them how close they are to each other.
It's
the
about
townhouses.
5 miles.
Well, I'm familiar with, with all that. Is that going to be located in the Council on Aging in Duxbury?
So the office location in Duxbury hasn't been determined yet. Once the district does get started, we'll just do all the office hours in Kingston until the office location in Duxbury is sorted out.
If you get an assistant, is that going to allow you to have somebody in the office 4 days a week here in Kingston?
No, so the assistant and I will go town to town together, and that way when I do home visits or coffee hours or any outreach events, somebody will be in the office to answer the phone, take any questions, schedule appointments, things like that.
I want to add too that we discussed this several years ago when
Closer, please.
Priscilla was retiring. We discussed trying to form a district with Duxbury. At the time, Duxbury was not interested in that partnership. Interestingly, Sarah was the Duxbury Veterans Agent. She supported the idea of having a district. They did not. We since hired her, so she works for Kingston, and we offered this shared service to Duxbury. They're much more interested in it now. So, just some food for thought. It's not a new idea. It's just we have support for it now.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. Let's vote. This was favorable by the Board of Selectmen, 5-0, favorable by the Finance Committee, 4-0. All those in favor of Article 4 as printed in the warrant, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries, no opposition. Article 5, please.
Heath Emberg, 214 Indian Pond Road. Move that the town transfer the sum of $235,000 to be expended for the capital equipment for streets, trees, and parks department, and to trade or dispose of any used equipment of those departments in the best interest of the town, and to meet the appropriation the town will transfer funds as printed in the warrant.
Appreciate that. Is there a second?
Second, who said that?
Name on the second?
All right, I'll give a summary of the request.
Hold on one second. Sir, what's your name?
Wayne, I'm sorry.
Okay. The Streets, Trees, and Parks Department desperately needs to replace its 2011 trackless machine, which is also known as a sidewalk tractor. When working, this machine with its attachments plows and blows snow off miles of town sidewalks, and in the spring sweeps those sidewalks clean, but that's not all. This machine also provides heavy field mowing for conservation areas, a piece of the grounds at this very school, and mandatory mowing of the cap over the town's closed landfill to enable state inspections of the cap. The mower head attachment for this machine was not operable when this field mowing was scheduled. Lastly, this machine performs roadside brush cutting. The brush cutter positioning is adjusted by a steel arm called a boom flail. Our boom flail is bent and still bending despite the support of a recently installed heavy steel bracket. Even if it were to last, the metal retention pins that hold fast the moving parts are failing one after the other and are very expensive to replace. Without this operation, brush grows over road pavement and narrows the space in which cars can pass, drawing drivers into the middle of the road, which could lead to a collision. All in all, our trackless machine has essentially exceeded its expected service life, and there are many repairs needing to be made yet still. However, it has become too expensive to do so, and this vehicle is no longer road safe. Going into 2026, we expect the total cost for a new machine and attachments to increase by $14,000 or more over the price that we have right now before you for 2025. With your vote of approval here tonight, we could have a new machine in as little as 2 to 3 weeks. There's still time ahead to mow the fields and do the brush cutting that still needs to be done before the new machine might plow its first snow. The Capital Planning and Finance Committees, as well as the Board of Selectmen, all voted unanimously in favor of replacing this machine following this town meeting. I ask you to please join us and vote the same.
Yes, sir. Open for debate.
Jim Sewell, 51 Indian Pond. I don't have a problem with the fact that you have to replace the machine. I have a couple of questions, though, regarding how this financing is working. How much is the snow and ice budget for 2025? 2026, that's the fiscal year we're in.
If anyone knows, yell it out.
Sean?
Hi, Sean.
Hi, Sean Turner, 21 Winter Street, interim superintendent. It's $365,000.
Okay. And I assume that the 108,540 is coming from the salary that for the DPW commissioner that we didn't vote at the last town meeting?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Snow and ice can be deficit spent. So my fear is the 350 is what we've been spending as a rule in the town. We've had mild winters. If we go over that, then we'll deficit spend. That deficit spend will have to be funded either through an additional appropriation in the taxes at the end of the year, or it gets funded through free cash. My concern is that we're moving up the priority list of things that the town needs in terms of equipment by this maneuver here at this meeting, and I think it should be questioned, and I think that we should look at it. And the reason I'm concerned about it is that if we do have a hard winter, we go deficit spend the snow and ice budget, then we're going to have to take some money away from police cruisers, ambulances, fire trucks, some other equipment that you need, Sean, at Highway, in order to fulfill this obligation of this purchase. So I question it. I don't have a solution for it other than if we're only worried about the snow, then there might be a cheaper alternative from the standpoint of renting or leasing something. Okay? Not this article, not this piece of equipment, but even a small sidewalk tractor, if that's what we need to do to move snow. But I just question the way we're financing this. I just don't agree with it from that standpoint.
It's above my pay grade. Does anyone answer that question? Alternative finances. Is the question, are there alternative ways to finance this article tonight?
I don't believe that you're going to have alternative ways to finance it. What we're doing is we're betting on another mild winter.
We had hoped to replace this at the prior annual town meeting in the spring. At the time, we did not have a source for funds. Puts us in a position now where we have unmowed fields, we have roads closing in due to brush growth. Simply renting a tractor to plow the sidewalks is not going to solve all of the problems, because you'll have a machine that can do one thing. This machine does 5.
And I totally understand that, and again, I'm not questioning the fact that it needs to be replaced, but just where it is in the priority. We're moving it up.
This was extremely high in the priority list because it should have been done at the last annual town meeting. If it goes to the next one, it's probably top of the list with police patrol vehicles and town server replacements. So in part of having a 5-year plan, so we're looking at what's coming down the pike. Like I said, this one should have been done last year. We knew it. We just had hoped it would make it through another year. It's only made it through half of that year, if that, and it's not going to make it to the next town meeting. So, and then following that, we wouldn't probably get one until what, summer? So we continue to have all these other functions, the streets, the sidewalk sweeping, the field mowing, the brush cutting that has to be done earlier in the season and later again in the season. It won't get done.
Can I ask a question? What would the cost roughly if you had to rent machines to get you till next summer?
If we had to rent one of these machines just for the winter, we'd have to rent it by the month for about $5,000 per month. Is that correct, Sean?
Close to that. Yeah.
That's if we can
And that's
find a
only for
machine, and if they have the attachments we need.
That's only for the snow blowing.
Yeah.
Right.
But if we have to wait, then we're going to have to look at renting something in the spring.
Mhm.
We can't fall behind anymore on the cutting.
As far as brush cutting and the
Brush
trees.
cutting and.
I
We
mentioned
just
that
can't, we're already too
we
far
cut-
behind.
We mow the top of the
You
land.
do understand
Hold
my
on,
point.
hold on, one at a time. Go
Yep.
ahead.
I mentioned that we use it to mow the grass and the brush over the top of the landfill cap. We do that to allow the state inspectors from the Department of Environmental Protection to go in and inspect that cap They will not tread out there in an unmowed field. They will fine us if it's not mowed.
Mm-hmm. Understood. But we could get something else to mow it, not just this machine.
Right, but now you're talking,
No, I understand. No,
we're
I
coming up with
understand.
more money just to rent something instead of
Mhm.
purchasing it.
Mhm.
I think there's an opportunity cost operationally to all the time it takes to rent all these different machines. The time that's gone in from the mechanic, our in-house mechanic, to work on this has become an urgency. We've pushed out important work, which is, last I heard, probably still not yet complete, ready for the winter, on the trucks, of preserving the underside of the trucks, because they spend so much time working on this machine.
Mhm.
So the sourcing and transiting machines to come in and do all this work is something else that the department has to do, that I'm afraid will take them away from other necessary operations. We're already way behind.
Mhm. Well, and again, I guess, Heath, what I'll say is, I hope we have a mild winter.
Don't we all?
And if we don't,
Yeah.
we'll need this machine
Yes, we
even
do.
more so.
Would anyone else like to be heard? Do you have anything to say, Sean? Walking away, good. Anyone else? Oh, she just climbed there. All right, Article 5, which was favorable by capital, well, you said this, favorable by Board of Selectmen, Finance Committee, and Capital Planning. It's a majority vote. All those in favor of Article 5 as printed in the warrant, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes, minimal opposition. Halfway done with this meeting.
Thank
Article
you.
6.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Kyle Pike from Shore Drive. Article 6, establish a police revolving fund. Move that the town amend Chapter 4, Article 20, Section 4-20-5 of the general bylaws, Chapter 20, Article 3, Section 10 of the newly codified bylaws, to establish the following revolving fund for the police department pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Paragraph 53E, 1/2, as printed in the warrant.
We have a second.
What this article provides is for the Kingston Police Department to have the ability to create and control a checking account for the purpose of managing funds associated with property which has been stolen, lost, abandoned, or taken from a person under arrest. The proceeds of the sale of such items in the balance of such unclaimed money, after deducting all reasonable charges and expenses incurred on such property, shall be paid into the town general fund. Effectively, this allows our evidence officers the ability to manage an account as a location to store funds and proceed from property auctions somewhere besides as cash in the evidence room, thereby increasing security and control of the funds. Questions, debate, comments?
You must move it to a vote. You're doing so well. Would anyone like to be heard? No? All those in favor of Article 6 as printed in the warrant, favorable Board of Selectmen, favorable Finance Committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Article 6 passed with minimal opposition. Article 7, please.
Move that the town raise and appropriate the sum of $82,000 to be extended pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44 and 53 F&1/2 for a wastewater department full-time wastewater treatment plant operator and a part-time clerical assistant position. This article utilizes $82,000 in the existing FY26 operating budget for 2 positions.
Yeah, well, you can tell them what you want to do. Sorry, my bad, Elaine.
David Walsh, wastewater superintendent. I just want to speak on this article. For me, it's a struggle every day to keep up with the workload that we have at the plant. So not only at the plant, but at town hall as well, we need some assistance. So first of all, I want to thank all the residents who showed up tonight with concerns for the town. I want to thank the Board of Sewer Commissioners, our administrative assistant, and the staff of the treatment plant for working collectively to work through all the challenges we work through on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. I'll try and keep this short and sweet. I enjoy what I do, so I might get a little long-winded here. But as the article reads, we're looking for assistance in two positions. First, being an operator to establish a preventative and corrective maintenance program for our collection system. The second position is a part-time administrative position to assist digitizing the department's records to track files, sewer cards, used capacity, and available betterments, tracking along with septage billing, contracts, and GIS mapping. The need for an operator is based on a 25-year-old collection system that requires maintenance, and that we've come to the point with our day-to-day tasks that the amount of issues that pop up on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis, there is little to no time to address our preventative maintenance needs. Many of our reactionary issues that come up could be prevented with preventative maintenance programs. We have a very capable crew and very little time to do maintenance in the field. Every week there's a major issue that we've been able to handle in-house. But we've also done this with an overflow, without any overflows of sewage. Just a week ago, we had mice get into a generator compartment, eat through the wires in this compartment, which wouldn't allow the generator to come on if we had a loss of power. Luckily, we caught this in time, but in a storm event, if this generator didn't kick on, we would have an overflow that would have went into a river and eventually out to Kingston Bay. We have 16 pump stations throughout town. They have 16 generators that run these stations in the event of a power loss. Each one of these generators is nearly 25 years old. The radiators on them are 25 years old. So there's many things that we have to do on a daily basis that aren't allowing us the freedom of time to go deal with these issues. So what we're looking for is the additional person to help with this program. As far as an expense of this employee, that we either need to pay for this and outsource this outside our department, or we deal with it in-house. We're capable of dealing with in-house, we just don't have the time. So what I'm looking for is support for this employee to aid in that situation. If I subcontract someone in for the day, it's typically anywhere from $800 to $1,500 to have someone come in. They're in for one day to deal with one issue, and then they're gone. If I bring an employee on board, I have this employee 5 days a week to help, and we get more value out of that employee. So either way, it's going to be an expense. Just to give you an example, the town of Plymouth had a problem with not dealing with their collection system and didn't deal with their air relief valves. Their pipelines corroded and cost them $52 million to replace their pipelines. We started a program that we started addressing our air relief valves, but this is the sort of thing that has to be done on a regular basis. So I'm trying to get ahead of this, and I'm looking for support for this with our department. I could go on and on
No, that's,
with different examples.
You're doing great.
I know you all want to get home.
No, I think there's going to be a motion, and then we're going to open it up, and I'm sure there's going to be some questions for you.
Just a tiny bit more. I have a responsibility to do everything in my power to preserve our assets in town.
Sir, just hold on 1 second. I think we're going to have a motion here on the wording.
Substitute for the amended article.
Okay.
I'd like to make a substitute motion.
Yep, that's right.
Move that the town utilize $82,000 in the existing FY26 operating budget for a wastewater department full-time wastewater treatment plant operator and a part-time clerical assistant position to be expended pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44 and 53 F and a half. We as a department were told we needed to come to town meeting and ask for have this article on town meeting floor. We already have the money in our existing budget. So we went forward as advised, but we already have the money. There is no raise and appropriate. There is no additional funds being expended. We have the money. It's being reallocated within our own budget. It's not costing any additional money. It's not costing taxpayers or sewer customers any additional money.
So I don't even know if we have to, well, hold on. All those in favor of the amendment? Aye. Anyone opposed? So I don't think we have to vote this, but I'm going to vote it in an abundance of caution. So it's coming out of your budget. You're not asking the town for additional money. Okay. Does everyone understand that? Okay. Anyone want to be heard on the amended motion? All those in favor of the amended motion for Article 7, which was favorable previously by 4-1 Board of Selectmen and 3-1 Finance Committee. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Minimal opposition, motion carries. And I don't even know if it needed a vote. Sir, if anyone has questions, I'll still give you opportunity about the water department, but I don't think there are any. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're on to 8. 8?
Yes. All right, Article 8, move the town amend Chapter 231 of the general bylaws titled Peddling and Soliciting as printed in the warrant.
Got a second? Second. Jim.
All right, essentially what this does is it allows us to generate the ability for you to go to the Kingston website, add your address to a do not solicit list, and that gets handed out to solicitors, and they have to obey by it. Makes it a lot easier for us to find solicitors that are going against it.
Would anyone like to be heard? Yes.
Yeah, Kevin Johnson, 5 Summer Street. On C of the no solicitation registry, it says 17 children, 17 years of age and under, politicians, campaigning, and religious organizations. Does politicians include, people within the campaign who would be soliciting for those politicians as well?
I think that's a legal question, and I consulted with counsel, and she's of the affirmative response of yes.
Thank you.
But, so we can still get Girl Scout cookies.
You can still get Girl Scout cookies.
Go ahead.
Pine Dubois, 93 Elm Street. I'm curious about this, and I couldn't understand it. If I am trying to petition to put an article on town meeting floor, for instance, and I want to go by and knock on people's doors to see if they would be interested in supporting that, is that under this thing?
I'm going to go to defer to town council.
I mean,
again.
I really like to, talk to my neighbors and stuff about, speeding and stuff like that. But is that under here?
Pine, I would think that that would be political campaigning because unlike commercial speech, which is what this is really targeting, so sales of vacuums, I mean, that's going back to the 50s, but sales of vacuums and things like that. Political speech is protected by the First Amendment, right?
Thanks.
And just as a note, it's only if you opt in to sign up for this, your address is added. You would have to opt in for this.
And this was a Board of Selectmen favorable vote, 4-1. Does the dissenter want to be heard? No? No. Okay. Anyone else like to be heard before we move this to a vote? All those in favor of Article 8, all those in favor of Article 8 as printed in the warrant, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries, no opposition. Article 9, please.
Eric Crone, 43 Longwood Circle. We're almost done, just 2 more. All right, move the town change the current elected position of town clerk to a Board of Selectmen appointed position of town clerk as per the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Paragraph 1B, and place on the official ballot of the 2026 annual elections the following question for acceptance by the voters. Shall the town vote to have its elected town clerk become an appointed town clerk of the town? So the town clerk oversees... Oh, yeah.
Figured you get a second?
So the town clerk oversees our elections, maintains vital public records, and ensures that we comply with state and federal laws. By making the position appointed, similar to the way we did with the treasurer and collector, we combined those into one position and then made that appointed. But by making the position appointed, we can recruit from a larger, more qualified pool instead of relying on who happens to run, especially at a time when fewer people are pursuing local elected roles, where we have a lot of empty boards and commissions. This change would strengthen continuity, reduce the risk of vacancies, and allows us to set clear expectations and accountability. Many other Massachusetts communities have already made this transition to modernize operations and ensure that the right person with the appropriate training and expertise is serving the town in this critical position. The only data that I found was back in 2020, about 117 towns and cities in Massachusetts have already switched to an appointed town clerk. And there are very limited, I think there's very few towns that have gone back the other way to make them an elected position. When we first started looking at this, our town administrator did talk to Paul, and I think Paul at that time, there are benefits, like if Paul was your term is up in the spring, so this would be the time to look at doing this. There are benefits, there's pros and cons for being elected versus appointed. At the time, you were supportive. I know.
Yeah, I'll probably speak to it just
to
clarify.
And so Paul and I talked yesterday. So again, originally, we were supporting this at the time. Paul was supportive of this. Any questions?
Sir?
Yes, Ed Balecki, 437 Elm Street. My question is a point of information is, this is a small group of people that is voting on a very important position here of town clerk that currently is an elected position. And I really am questioning why this is being brought up at the special town meeting instead of at the regular town meeting, when there would be more people here to discuss and debate the issue.
So the problem, if you remember at our regular town meeting, we didn't have a quorum. And tonight we did. So it's about this. I understand what you're saying, but again, the timing was really due to Paul's term being up this coming spring. So the timing, that's why we're doing it now instead of at the, yeah.
And I could clarify.
Hold on, town council would like to address, hold on.
I can clarify as well. There are a couple of ways to accomplish this, and the way that the town chose to do this particular conversion is a two-vote system. So you have tonight's vote with town meeting, followed by a ballot vote at the next annual town election, so the entire townspeople could give their opinion. Right. So it's two prongs.
When would that election be?
The spring. I'm not sure when yours is.
The same time you'd have an election. So the timing might be actually off by a year.
That's my question.
Because you're going to have to either appoint or you're going to have an election, right?
So if there's a failure to elect because Paul's term expires at the end of this May, so if there's a failure to elect, the board then would appoint in the interim, and then we would see how the ballot measure shook out, and if it was successful, it would be appointed position in any event.
Okay. Yes.
Jean Coleman, 20 Hollins Lane. That's actually my concern, is that for this to go on the ballot, it would be on the same ballot that we would be electing a new town clerk. So not only would it probably dissuade somebody to run because it's currently a 3-year position, but if somebody did win the election, they'd be told that after a year, if the town votes favorably to make this an appointed position, that they'd only be serving for 1 term, or, excuse me, 1 year, instead of a 3-year term. So I feel like that timeline is a little bit off right there. Also, I think you answered the question, but who is this appointed by? Simply the Board of Selectmen or the town administrator?
The Board of Selectmen would make that appointment.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Paul Bazar, Stanislav East. Can I address the town clerk directly?
Absolutely.
Mr. Gallagher, do you plan on running next year's election?
I do. I have every intention of running for re-election.
Okay.
I will be honest with everybody. Obviously, I've had some pretty significant health issues, but I do want to tell you today that I will beat them by April of next year.
There we go.
I'll also say that I believe that when we changed the collector, he was coming into his election as well, and it was written in that he automatically became the collector. It wasn't like we went out right away and started interviewing for people.
If I could clarify one thing for Ms. Bennett. Under this statute that the town is making this conversion, the person who's elected serves till the expiration of their term or unless they vacate the office earlier. So it's a little bit different than the treasurer collector because that was done through special legislation. So it didn't trigger a ballot vote, and then there was language which made that conversion of the person who is elected to become the first appointed person, right? That's how we crafted it. But this one would be such that the person elected fills their term and then it becomes an appointed position, if that helps explain it.
And let me just add, I love Paul. Paul got me into politics way back when. I think you were one of the first people to sign my school committee nomination papers way back when I first ran. So this isn't about trying to replace Paul at all. I think there are benefits, and I would love to hear his input in terms of what he thinks is the pros and cons. You want to go?
Yeah, I don't think anybody at this particular point in time is bringing this forward to try to replace me. I think it's something that's been spoken about. I can't tell you how many years we've talked about this. When we used to bring forward making elected positions appointed, it was always a resounding no. We like to have our vote. We want to be able to tell you who we want. Over the past several years, and given the current environment of the way things move and shake, people call it a popularity contest. I dispute that. I mean, maybe I won the last several times because I was popular, but
no,
I think,
that's not the case.
But I think more importantly, people knew they were getting someone that has been a professional. Had organizational skills, had customer service skills, had all the skills that actually worked within that office to make it run smoothly. The other thing too is that we worry about whether or not someone's going to come forward if we keep it elected. I'll have to say, and Will's here. I don't know if it's his grandfather or his great-grandfather. There have only been three. Your great-grandfather. There have only been 3 town clerks in the past 86 years. Mm-hmm. So if that doesn't say something, I think it's best that once you get someone in that knows what they're doing, you want to keep them there because it can continue to, you can continue on efficiency and with the way the state continuously changes the format and the policy and the procedures for all of these elections. You have to have someone that has to have some kind of institutional knowledge previously. As far as appointed and elected on a personal basis for the person that's in that position, appointed is structured for the employee. There's benefits that are similar to wage and personnel and union. As far as elected, there's a greater responsibility on the official to maintain structure and prove themselves. each year coming up here to ask for an increase to salary. When every other person in town is getting elected, is getting an increase in salary, I still have to get up and ask for one. It's very difficult. But more importantly, again, in this current environment that we live in, I would prefer, and I did it in the beginning, I said, yeah, I'll support it just because, they asked, and it's times, it's been talked about a number of times. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought I would prefer to have it continue to be elected, because if it reports, if it's an appointed position, it reports to the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator. And the clerk loses its autonomy and may actually need to do what they're told on a regular basis to protect their position. And I can tell you that stuff does happen. That, under an appointed position, you have leadership that gives direction, and which may not be what the town clerk wants. So I think to protect the, don't forget, I'm not feeling that great. I'm forgetting words. No, but to protect the position itself, I think it would be best to keep it elected. And I don't think you're ever going to have a hard time finding someone that's going to want to do this job.
Thank you.
I think my first vote as an 18-year-old guy in this town, I voted for Will's grandfather as clerk. I voted for the previous town clerk, Mary Lou Merzen, and I voted for Mr. Gallagher all the years he's running for. The town residents have done a great job in this position, and I do not see it needed to be changed at this time. I would urge this body to vote this down, please.
Thank you. Elaine?
Elaine Fiore, Cole Street. I was just going to say, if this passes, can the election in November have this as a question on it, or is it too late? If the timing of it all is an issue.
I wouldn't know without going to make like 3 or 4 phone calls for preparation, but I would say no, absolutely not, because we've already started looking at ballots and talking about the ballot printing and all that stuff.
Okay.
So it would have to wait until April.
Yes.
Good evening, Chris Blake, 32 Reed Street, Kingston. I've been a resident of Kingston since 2015. Prior to that, I lived in Hull for a bit. Prior to that, I grew up in Boston, where, they went to an appointed school committee, went from there. I really think if something doesn't need to be fixed, why break it? I mean, this gentleman, what he did during COVID, during the elections, all the elections that I've seen in this town have been professionally run. Everybody's friendly, everybody's very professional. And back when we didn't know how this would affect in the public, I felt safe going to vote in person, and I think it's wonderful. When I've gone to the town hall to change my political affiliation, when I've gone to vote early, I also believe in election day and doing it that day, but I vote early now because it's there. It's always professionally run, and if this is what we can expect, I say don't change it. Leave it as is.
So just to be clear.
Hold on, I'm going to give you last word. I got one more there, then you're up. Go ahead.
Tyler Bouchard, 217 Parting Ways Road. I think both sides are valid on this, but from sitting on the Board of Selectmen for 3 years and being in town, being maybe on the younger generation of townies, Mr. Cushman, he held 5 positions at the time. That's how small our town was. The treasurer just of 10 years ago was a part-time position. These things are changing rapidly. And so it's not about the person who's sitting in the seat saying, that person's awesome, because we know Paul's awesome. We know the people that have been here have been awesome. We have an incredible amount of talent in the past. We are not seeing that coming up. And I'm not trying to put down the town that we have, but we're not seeing civic engagement for somebody that wants to work for $73,000 a year in a position that's very, very difficult to widen that pool out, to get somebody talented that we need at the time, I think is actually a very important thing. If we get one of these positions, like clerk, that is absolutely critical to the town, and that person doesn't show up, that person doesn't, yada, 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 that puts us in a detrimental position as a town that we may not be able to dig out of. We could dig out of it maybe 3 or 4 years, but I'm saying it's a very dangerous position to be in. I think this is just coming up in the modern times. We've been very fortunate to have people that have had second careers, like Mr. LaBroche that served as the part-time treasurer. There's been all these positions. We've been very fortunate to have people in their second careers do this. I think this is just modernizing with the times. Thank you. I would vote yes.
Go ahead.
I would just say, let me just say this, that if you don't feel comfortable that I couldn't take a day off and this place wouldn't run just as smooth as it would with me not there as opposed to being there, you're wrong. Every single person in the office is cross-trained. Jana knows as much about being town clerk as I do. You just wouldn't, it's very, you know what, I'll say it, it's very difficult to find an office that's run this way, and that all cross-trained, everyone does everybody else's job, and it would not fall apart if someone couldn't perform.
Thank you.
And this is the new individual Britter. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Now we got the clerk doing commercials. Jean.
Sorry, Jean Coleman, 20 Hollins Lane. Mr. Basler, thank you for the, history of the town clerk for the last several years. I think that's extremely important to keep in mind, and one of the things that I was thinking about when I had first read this is I really appreciate and love that our town clerk is one of us. He's a Kingston resident, and I find it extremely, demeaning of all of us to say that you don't think that there would be somebody that's as talented but as, prepared and qualified to run when that time comes. I'm thankful to hear that Mr. Gallagher intends to run again. I'll happily support him, but I think that as of right now, don't fix what's not broken. But I think the only reason I would really be against this is because I like that this person in this specific position is somebody that's a member of this community, and it's a town resident, it's a Kingston resident. It's not, let's go find somebody from Middleborough that wants to commute a half hour to work every day. It's somebody that's in this community, knows their neighbors, and that's the reason that I think we've had as much success in this position for so long, is because it's a Kingston resident. Thank you.
Eric, final word?
So again, I just want to reiterate, I love Paul, and this has nothing to do with Paul. I actually thought this would benefit him because of some of the perks as wage and personnel. And to the gentleman who was saying how great a job he's done, I couldn't agree more. I think he's done a phenomenal job, and I would want him to stay as long as he's willing to do it. But it also, take a look too, we've only had 3 clerks in, 90 years? There's not people jumping up. There aren't people running for this position. So it's fine if we don't do this now, but we're just kicking the can down the road. So, I think, and as long as Paul keeps running, I'm going to keep voting for him. I don't know if that's a political thing that I'm not supposed to say, but anyways, Paul's done a phenomenal job.
But it's appreciated.
And his office does do a phenomenal job as well. I think everybody at Town Hall does. So I think this is something, again, that we can always revisit it later. I think we're probably going to have to. And again, I start every Board of Selectmen meeting listing how many boards and commissions we have vacancies on. Far too many. Nobody's stepping up. And the people, when people are running for top offices, no one's running against them. So, and that includes Board of Selectmen, that's, town clerk. I don't know the last time someone ran against Paul. And it could be because he's doing a phenomenal job, which is legit.
All right, we're going to move this to a vote.
All right, I'm done. Thank you.
All those in favor of changing the current process for our town clerk by having an appointed one as opposed to elected one, so this would change the current from voted to appointed. All those in favor of making a change, say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Nay. Article 9 fails. Article 10.
Article 10, Missy Bateman, Board of Selectmen. Move that the town transfer the sum of $32,000 from the Waterways Improvement Fund to purchase a new boat engine for the Harbor Master's 2014 24-foot Parker boat. Yep, second, thanks. So this is an unforeseen event. Boat engines ceased functioning during the week ending October 3rd of 2025. This engine replacement was originally slated to be acted on at the spring annual town meeting.
Second? Anyone? Second.
Would anyone like to be heard? Questions, comments? We need a new boat engine? Anybody? Nope, okay. Ready for a vote? Okay. It's favorable by the Board of Selectmen, 5-0, favorable by the Finance Committee, 4-0. All those in favor of Article 10 as printed in the warrant, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries with minimal opposition. I move to adjourn this special town meeting. Can I get a second? Second. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. See you in April or May.